World Underneath 12 Fractal Library Q&A Chapter 1 Question 1 Question 1. Why is it called the Fractal Library? Hello, welcome to the Fractal Library. Since this is the very first question in our guest book, I'd like to use it as a chance to share the library's story. I've never been the type to settle down. Over the years, I did all sorts of jobs: mason, gardener, delivery driver, janitor, clerk, and more. One day, I, drawn in by the particular name of this library, pushed open its doors. Inside, it was deserted and coated in dust. Driven by curiosity, I took a book from the shelf and opened it. In that instant, a new universe unfolded before my eyes, and I fell in love with this place. While I was engrossed in reading, a telephone at the front desk rang, its chime echoing through the library's towering halls. For some reason, I approached the counter and answered the phone, as if beckoned by an unseen force. 10 minutes later, the call ended. I can't talk about what was discussed. But after that conversation, I became the library's administrator and finally understood why it's called the Fractal Library. Most of the books here are science fiction. Nearly every fictional universe inside of them branches out after its own Big Bang and spawns countless worlds of infinite complexity. Yet their similarities are uncanny. The books themselves reflect this fractal nature, each with a sense of endless variety and overarching similarity. They highlight recursion, chapters mirroring the entire book, paragraphs echoing the chapter's themes, sentences extending the paragraph's ideas. Multiple layers within their structures, like fractal patterns that reveal finer details, and non-linear complexity, interwoven narratives forming intricate dynamic patterns. Realizing this only made me love the library even more. I've never met its actual owner, so sometimes I imagine what I'd do if I were in charge. Maybe I'd rename it. The word fractal is a bit abstract. I might call it the 10 Library instead. Most of the books here are sci-fi, and every time I open a new one, I feel like I'm witnessing the birth of a universe. That instance of 10⁻33 seconds, when the cosmos explodes from a tiny singularity. It's a name you should explain in a single sentence, straightforward and easy to grasp. Still, whenever I imagine making that change, the phone rings again and reminds me that this place already belongs to someone else. Chapter 2. Question 2. Question 2. Why did you want to open this kind of library? First of all, I didn't open this library. It's always been here. I'm just a temporary administrator. But I can tell you why one phone call convinced me to stay aside from the money. Change is the only constant in this world. As I said before, I used to wander from place to place and never stayed in one spot for long. Over time, I learned to love that freewheeling life. Until I stumbled upon this library. Here I found everything I had seen and experienced. Even if I traveled across the entire globe, it wouldn't add up to a fraction of what's contained in these shelves. This place holds countless stories and infinite possibilities from ancient times to modern days, and distant oceans to nearby mountains. Human imagination truly knows no bounds. Many ancient myths have become today's reality. Perhaps all the things we consider impossible now, and the mysteries we haven't observed, really exist somewhere. Maybe in the future, or maybe in another universe. I choose to believe in the worlds that you can find in those stories. Even if I spent my entire life reading, I'd only explore a tiny corner of this library. Yet this corner would still hold more wonders than I could ever encounter outside. As an administrator, I feel like my journey here has no end, because I never know what awe-inspiring world awaits me each time I open a new book. There's another reason that's even more important. The more I read, the more I sense an unavoidable responsibility resting on my shoulders. I'm waiting for someone. I know an atheist will step through, these doors one day. That person is the library's true owner. How do I know? Call it intuition. My curiosity refuses to let it go. I need to see what kind of person would own this place. I'm certain that if I wait long enough, they'll appear before me. P.S. Dear readers, I hope you'll spare some time in this ever-changing world to read. Explore times and places beyond your experience, and discover all that lies hidden within pages. Chapter 3. Question 3. Question 3. Since there's an extensive collection, which book is the curator's favorite? First, let me say again that I'm not the curator. I'm just an administrator. Now, about your question, let me think. Choosing a favorite. This is tough. I can't pick one, but I can tell you about a story that really stuck with me. I still think about it even when I finished reading it a long time ago. It was set in a world obsessed with efficiency. People had no names, only numbers. Those in power genetically screened embryos, and based on the results, decided their entire lives from what education they'd get, what work they'd do, and whom they'd love and marry, and even the traits of their children. Everything was determined by genetics, and the talents bestowed by the gods were fully realized. Nature and nurture, when perfectly fused, left no room for debate. No matter where you looked, it seemed like flawless harmony. At first, the world seemed dazzlingly beautiful, and everyone believed this was exactly how the world should be. But the balance shattered when a wealthy individual engineered a child without flaws. This child would adapt to anything, yet he revered nothing. He soared above every rule and sneered at order itself. Cracks in the system appeared, and where there were cracks, rebellion followed. But we all know that rebels, in any universe, are branded as traitors, and they were forever condemned in history. I encountered another world. It was nothing like that harmonious place I described before. By the time I looked at it, it was already on the brink of death. Everyone but him had fallen victim to a virus that stripped away the human form and humanity. It turned people into energy that would perish along with the planet. It reminded me of cancer cells. Once harmless symbionts that entered a frenzy of endless replication until they destroyed their host and died. All of it done for the sake of immortality. To prevent this calamity from spreading elsewhere, he became the world's lone survivor. He had a single mission: eliminate every infected individual, root out every trace of this disease, and then guard those warm remains until they had fully crumbled away. He waited for what felt like an eternity until all drifted into emptiness. He became a prisoner of time, the embodiment of loneliness, forever the last person. And in the end, as the final specks of the world turned to dust, he vanished too. Now that I think about it, the stories that truly stayed with me all seem to prove an old saying. Happy stories are the same, but unhappy stories each have their own kind of unhappiness. Once a story finds its perfect ending, it stops, and no one looks back. Imperfections, however, remain unforgettable. They echo without a response until the end of time. If these stories are someone's reality, if their words truly exist or once did, could they have just been experimental playgrounds for some god's whim? Bits and pieces thrown together without a second thought. Proportions guided by mood, one failure after the other. Each would be more fleeting than a grain of sand and a flicker of light. Chapter 4. Question 4. Question 4. What's your ideal future? And what would your ideal world look like? It's interesting that you ask about an ideal future after we talked about books. Perhaps you noticed how most sci-fi stories tell the future as one imagined at the time that they were written. From the perspective of the end of time, the future is just another piece of that universe. The universe isn't good or bad. It's simply a collection of stories following their own laws. If you understand those laws, you can see the final page. That's the theory, anyway. But stories come from life, and reality is often stranger than fiction. Even though this place has shown me countless possibilities, how I spend each day is still up to me. We might be tiny on a cosmic scale, but within our own little universes, we're everything. Even if we use knowledge to predict where the world might go, we can't be sure of our own futures. Maybe that uncertainty is what I find the most ideal. I just noticed I'm humming a little tune. It's amazing how I've got here. I've picked up habits from those around me. As for the ideal world, if I must respond, I suppose this utopia so often mentioned in books sounds appealing. It's a place where everyone can be who they want to be and live as they wish. But a world with nothing but light and no darkness is as stagnant as a dead pond. Such a place can never exist. Still, I hope everyone can become their own utopia. After all, there's no law against making a wish, right? People can wish wherever and whenever they want. And I'll write my sincere blessings for every reader here. Chapter 5. To be continued. Hello? According to my calendar, it's not time yet. When the moment arrives, I'm sure he'll come looking for me. Almost there. Give me a break. We'll know the truth soon enough. And if he doesn't show up, well, we know exactly where to find him, right? And by the way, how did that new book of yours turn out? When can I read it? Oh, it failed again? That's okay. The one I'm working on is long, so there's still hope. Stop nagging me. Okay. If he doesn't appear, I'll find him myself. I have to get back to work. I'm in Lincoln City now, so I have to stick to the schedule here. Bye. After hanging up, I noticed the clock above the door says 10 a.m. No one manages time as precisely as that caller. I draw back the curtains, open the door, and breathe in the scent wafting in from the cafe next door. Standing outside, I stretch and order my morning treat, a 100% sugar sea salt cheese latte with double whipped cream and chocolate drizzle. It's a sweet dopamine rush to kick off a lovely day. A child, perhaps 7 or 8, stops at my doorway and peeks inside, but he doesn't enter. Do you want to come in and look around? The child glances hesitantly at the sign on the doorframe. I realize my mistake and flip the closed sign. He follows me into the library, opens the guest book by the counter, reads a few lines, and then scans the room while being puzzled. Soon he meets my gaze. A library? But most of these things don't look like books. What a perceptive kid. That's another reason for me to love this place. You're right. A lot of things here aren't what you'd call books. But let's call them books for the sake of convenience. Can I check out things that don't look like books too? Of course. When you want to read them, they'll take on a form that's easy for you to understand. Books are the ideal medium. But if you prefer cartoons, that works too. Wow, that's amazing! As the child loses himself in his new discovery, I lean against the doorframe and watch the busy street. If each book holds a tiny world, and everyone who enters the library seeks some kind of answer, then I hope you find your own singularity in this little library. Your personal starting point, your own universe. I might not meet your expectations, but I'll say the following with sincerity. Hello, welcome to the Fractal Library. World Underneath, 13. High and Low Culture. Chapter 1, Artist Life Insider. Special feature, balancing art and livelihood. Art is liberating, rebellious, and uncompromising. Yet when art intersects with the markets, promotions, and commercialization, artists often need a trusted partner, someone who can help them step out of their own world and connect with the outside. Today, we have the privilege of interviewing Mr. Thomas, Raphael's gallery manager. While Raphael's paintings overflow with personality and romance, Thomas's work lies in finding balance between this freedom and paving the perfect path between artistic creation and the art market. Join us for issue 14 of Artist's Life Insider as we delve into the gallery manager, Thomas's story. Hello, Mr. Thomas. Thank you for taking the time for this interview. Could you start with a self-introduction to help our readers understand your background and work? Hello, everyone. I'm Thomas. No need for formalities, just Thomas is fine. Like how Raphael calls me. I've been in art management for several years now. I started as an agent and later partnered with Raphael to open a gallery, focusing on curation and contemporary art promotions. Raphael and I aren't just business partners. I'd like to say we've been friends for many years now. As both an artist's manager and gallery's director, what do you find most challenging in your daily work? Finding Raphael, without a doubt. Did you expect me to talk about business negotiations or exhibition curation? Well, sure. The business side comes with all sorts of challenges, but those are just basic work to me. But we haven't seen Raphael all day today, have we? The artists we've interviewed before all have their unique creative habits. Some keep their favorite plush bear nearby, while others must drink exactly 3 bubble teas before starting their work. From your observation, does Raphael have any particular habits? Wait, they all have such odd habits? Thomas blinks in surprise before falling into a deep thought for nearly a minute. When creating art, Raphael likes to put his glass fish tank over his head to truly experience life from a fish's perspective, to see the world through their eyes. Okay, he doesn't actually do that. I was just thinking how these quirky personas can be effective marketing for artists. But I couldn't come up with a good one on the spot. What? Did you actually believe that? I suppose artists can get away with anything these days. But if I had to point out something genuinely concerning, it would be how Raphael completely forgets to eat when he's working. I used to bring food to his studio just to make sure he hasn't passed out from hunger. Though lately, I don't have to worry about that anymore. When we tried to inquire about this recent change, Thomas insisted that it was a private matter of Raphael's and politely declined to elaborate further. So is Raphael the type to forget to eat when he's working? I don't think he sees painting as work at all. How can you tell if Raphael is getting inspiration or just spacing out? Well, I never ask him directly. He'll always say he's getting inspiration. Raphael is an artist who pursues individuality and romance. Do you think commercialization restricts him? Sometimes I wish it would. Just a little. Thomas sighs wistfully at the thought. The thing is, Raphael couldn't care less about how much his paintings sell for, or his commercial value as an artist. We're only bound by the things we care about, aren't we? Have you ever considered what would happen if Raphael lost his creative spark? That's impossible. This was Thomas's most resolute answer of the entire interview. This interview will be released during an art school admissions season. Do you have any words for those who are about to enter this field? First, to all young inspiring artists, congratulations on choosing a path full of challenges and endless possibilities. Second, there will certainly be moments of uncertainty along the way, but as long as you stay true to your artistic voice, you'll eventually find your own path. Who knows? Perhaps one of you will become as remarkable as Raphael. I'll definitely be there to sign you when you do. Finally, try to dance with the industry. Art isn't just about creation. It's intimately connected with markets, audiences, and society. Understanding how the industry works and finding your place within it is an art in itself. Your work will ultimately dialogue with the world through various channels. Here's to all the young artists. May you find joy in the world of art. Chapter 2. Birthday. The scent of fresh vegetables still clinging to the soil mingles with the sharp smell of raw meat, while the sound of haggling fills the air. In the market, Thomas's designer blue-gray coat stands out. A nearby elderly man, in nothing but slippers and shorts for his grocery run, eyes Thomas's jingling metal necklace with a visible disapproval. The produce vendor stares for a good 3 seconds before recognition dawns. Thomas? Solana was here this morning. Didn't you two coordinate? Getting all dressed up for your birthday, huh? The outfit, the hair, even makeup? Thomas carefully selects a few stalks of fresh green onions. Just getting something to make garlic shrimp for her. The styling is for a magazine interview today. Wait, how did you know it's my birthday? Solana mentioned it this morning. The vendor weighs the green onions. What magazine? I'll buy a copy for you. No need. Sales numbers won't affect me. Thomas hands over the garlic and ginger. If you really want to show support, how about a discount? A discount? But my wholesale price from the farmers. Solana told me you sold her Chinese cabbage for $15 this morning. Ah, fine. Here you go, Mr. Artist. Fussing over a few dollars. Just take them, they're on the house. Thinking back to today's interview, while it wasn't meant to be impromptu, having Thomas as the interviewee was purely a work of mishap. I'm terribly sorry. I mentioned it to Raphael, but I've been so swamped lately that I didn't realize I hadn't synced up his schedule. He's probably off getting inspiration somewhere in a remote mountain with no signal again. Thomas apologized profusely. Do you have a backup plan? If needed, I can help contact other artists we've worked with. But the magazine came specifically for Raphael. The staff huddled together in discussion for several minutes before finally reaching a solution. Interview me? Me? Thomas points to himself in surprise. Art school admissions season waits for no one, and we need to submit the draft. Immediately. The staff explains. Please help us out, Mr. Thomas. We need something to fill the pages today. The interview itself turned out quite relaxed, and afterwards the staff invited him for seafood barbecue at the White Sand Bay. They had actually bought a gift box of mantis shrimp as a gesture of sincerity, but with Raphael absent, they had no choice but to enjoy an extra meal together. You all go ahead, Thomas waves them off. It's my birthday, so I'm heading home to celebrate with my wife. What? We had no idea you were married. Happy birthday, Thomas. This is so sudden, and we don't have anything else to give you, but please take this. Thomas feels the weight of the seafood gift box in his hands and looks at it in surprise, swallowing back his polite refusal. Well then, thank you everyone. I'll graciously accept. My wife happens to love garlic shrimp. Aw, you're so sweet. As Thomas opens the front door, he's struck by a thunderous sound of crying. Solana is cradling their wailing daughter, her gentle cooing doing little to soothe the baby. Thomas quickly sets down his things and rushes to the kitchen. With practiced movements, he mixes hot and cold water, levels off a scoop of formula powder, pours it into the bottle, and shakes it thoroughly. After letting it settle, he tests its temperature against the back of his hand. 40 degrees Celsius. Perfect. Making formula for their daughter has turned both Thomas and Solana into human thermometers these days. The piercing wails finally subside with the warm bottle of formula. Solana gently pokes their daughter's chubby cheeks. You little glutton. You had just formula 2 hours ago. Don't listen to Mommy. You're not a glutton. Eat up. You'll grow up big and strong. Just as they finally manage to get their daughter to sleep, the phone breaks the silence, undoing half an hour of the couple's efforts in an instant. While Solana hurries to comfort their crying daughter again, Thomas takes the call and walks to the balcony. After handling some business matters, Thomas ties an apron and heads to the kitchen. As he pours the seafood from the gift bowl into the sink, water splashes up and Solana chuckles while grabbing some paper towels to wipe his face. Just as he's about to start preparing the seafood, his phone buzzes in his pocket again. With both hands occupied, Solana takes out his phone and holds it to his ear. Thomas continues peeling the shrimp while talking to the person on the other end. Regarding transportation, I've confirmed with the logistics company. The timing works. The lighting design needs to be adjusted based on the exhibit's materials and color scheme to ensure proper presentation. We should use natural tones for the background to avoid competing with the visual focus of the exhibits. As for the overall atmosphere, Thomas takes 4 phone calls in the time it takes to prepare dinner. Finally, as the couple enjoys their homey dinner of dishes and soup at the coffee table with their TV, Thomas's phone is silent, as if it too wants him to enjoy his birthday. While Solana goes to get the cake from the fridge, he quickly switches the mystery show on TV to his favorite romantic drama. Let's watch the meteor shower. Returning with the cake, Solana glances at the scene and sighs with a familiar resignation. This show again? Are you sure you really are an art professional? High art meets pop culture meets high art. In the flickering candlelight, Thomas closes his eyes and makes his birthday wishes. May Solana be safe and happy. May our daughter grow up healthy and strong. May our family stay together forever. Oh right, and Raphael. Hope he gives me less to worry about this year. And may he and his Miss Bodyguard be happy together for a long, long time. The moment he blows out the candles, darkness falls, and his phone decides to vibrate at that exact moment. Thomas reaches out for his phone with resignation, but upon seeing the caller's name, he springs to his feet. In one fluid motion, he throws on the blue-gray coat draped over his chair and heads to the entryway to change his shoes. It's Raphael. If he's calling at this hour, it must be important. He's probably back in Lincoln. I need to go see him. We'll have the cake when I get back later. Answering the call, he hears Raphael's unusually serious voice. Thomas, come to Mo, quickly. I have something extremely important to discuss with you. Thomas manages to take the call, change his shoes, and press the elevator button all in one seamless motion, taking no more than 10 seconds. Actually, I had something pretty important today too. I mentioned it to you, but I failed to put it in your schedule. That's my bad. Though it's all been taken care of now. Raphael sounds confused. Huh? This needs to go in my schedule too? As the elevator dings open, the voice from the phone receiver merges with one in real space. Happy birthday! Thomas looks up to find 2 familiar faces, Raphael and his Miss Bodyguard. Happy birthday, my friend! Seeing Thomas still stunned, Raphael leans against the doorframe and lifts his gift box in his right hand. Important business accomplished. This didn't need to go in my schedule, right? That's not what Thomas trails off with a helpless laugh, quickly accepting the gift box. Come up for a bit? Have some cake? Better not. You might lock me in and start demanding manuscript updates. This girl, still in her hunter's uniform, playfully shrugs and links arms with Raphael. Free time is precious. Spend it with the ones who matter the most. We won't keep you any longer." Exactly. Stop thinking about work and watching my every move. Raphael waves with a light bye and turns away, walking into the evening breeze with his Miss Bodyguard. And so, Thomas returns to his doorstep, gift box in hand. Click. The key turns in the lock, and the corridor's motion sensor light flickers on. Behind the door, Solana's face lights up with a pleasant surprise. "You're back already?" "Nothing urgent with Raphael. He just came to deliver this," he says, setting down the gift box on the table with a pat. "Now then, let's go cut the cake." Chapter 3. Microscope. "Wish I could paint," says. As an art school applicant and devoted fan of Artist Life Insider, I heard this one would feature Raphael. Saved it specifically for the day before my entrance exam, hoping it would give me some inspiration from my idol. But why did we get his manager instead? Potato Sec Leader says, Raphael wasn't there, but his presence is everywhere. Think about it. Really think about it. Momo says, I actually believe the part about him wearing a fishbowl while painting. Raphael Writable Fish Dinner says, it's thanks to having such a professional manager like Thomas that Raphael can focus on creating art. Supporting Thomas. User 426835 says, so why exactly don't we need to worry about Raphael starving anymore? Details, please. Night Reader of Useless Books says, Raphael's truly strong for never complaining about the industry. Garlic Shrimp Supremacy says, Thomas clearly shows his expertise as a manager. The insights he shared in the interview are really valuable for anyone planning to enter the art industry. Good luck to everyone with their entrance exams. Confident Woman Live Best says, when is Raphael releasing new work? Just Leak says, was hoping to read about a master artist journey in this special exam issue. The art exam special is generating quite a buzz online. Thank you, Mr. Thomas. After hanging up, Thomas pauses his work and checks his phone, wondering if his insights had particularly resonated with art students and guided countless exam candidates. On the trending page, several topics are marked with a red viral badge. Hashtag Artist Life Insider, Art Exam Special, Hashtag Raphael, True Masters Never Complain About the Industry, Hashtag Raphael Paints While Wearing a Fishbowl. This hardly has anything to do with me. He scratches his head in confusion, opens a discussion thread, and scrolls through until he finally finds a few mentions of Thomas among the floods of Raphael comments. Well, at least some people have the insight to recognize his expertise as an artist's manager. Thomas turns off his phone with satisfaction and returns to work. Beside him, Solana suppresses a smile, quietly keeping her achievement to herself. Garlic Shrimp Supremacy for sure. World Underneath. 14. Elysium. Chapter 1. Meeting. The alarm sounds. Mr. P glances at his watch. It's 9:55 p.m. Time's almost up. He quickens his pace. He has a date he can't miss tonight. The sidewalks of Umirta Street are nearly empty in the darkness. For the opulent capital of crime, the N109 zone, this is just one of the many waking hours. Neon lights blur into a misty haze, but Mr. P has no time to savor them. He lowers the brim of his hat, tightly pulls his coat, and keeps walking. He pauses at a window filled with over-the-top decorations. Plushy Bomb, the crown jewel of the shop, for displaying purposes only, not for sale. Chris's Antiques and Oddities. Behind the sign sits a frog plushie inside a birdcage. He checks his newly acquired diamond-studded watch. Well, there's still a bit of time. Welcome to Chris's Antiques and Oddities. Don't touch anything if you aren't buying. Unless you're interested in a taste of lead. Behind the counter, the owner is glued to his phone. As Mr. P passes, he spots a title of the hot forum thread on the screen. Phantom Thief P pulls another time trick. $1 million blood diamond watch vanishes from Salon Hotel auction. When did the N109 zone start cheering for some second-rate thief? There are thousands of comments, too. If I met that guy, I'd crush him with one hand. The owner sneers, but can't resist adding a post of his own. A few seconds later, a beep shatters the silence. The owner looks towards the sound. The shop's prized frog plushie had vanished from its cage. Only the diamond-studded watch shines dully in its place. On the street lined with bars, Mr. P emerges from an alley. He tosses the frog plushie in his hand. Then, he drops its dismantled bomb into a trash can. The design is outdated. At least the color still pops out. He straightens his hat, and behind him, neon lights quietly turn and trace his figure in a faint glow. 10 p.m. That's when Elysium officially opens. Chapter 2. Elysium. Mr. P relaxes as the bar's comforting blues ease away his tension. New face, huh? What can I get for you? Standing behind the counter, the woman with chestnut wavy locks props her chin on her hand and smiles at him. I'll take the connoisseur's menu. The bar falls quiet for a second. The connoisseur's menu is the most infamous menu in the N109 zone. It's second to none. Not only do its dishes draw inspiration from the area's most celebrated eras and figures, but it also doubles as a top-secret ledger for intel trading and deals with high stakes. A moment later, a thin menu slides over to Mr. P. Enjoy. Elysium Connoisseur's Menu. Test menu. Fill your empty soul to your heart's content. Do it. House Special Blend. 1/3 whiskey, 2 scoops of cream, 1 brown sugar cube, and a sprinkle of fate. Complimentary. Description. Every gift comes with a hidden price, but this coffee is actually free. Do it can be a command or an expression of encouragement. Then again, some say to ignore people and do whatever you want. Mobster Salad. Mashed potatoes, eggs, fresh shrimp, chickpeas, and yogurt all crushed together with desire. 5, 6, 7, 8. Description. They came here to survive. They drowned in their own greed. To those ruthless criminals we lost forever. Without them, the N109 zone wouldn't be what it is today. Although they're no longer here to see it. Coward's Shell. Fresh oysters, lemon juice, ground pepper, and a dash of courage. 1, 3, 4. Description. Without their sturdy shelter, the spineless remain spineless. That is why we built our foundation from the strongest materials. This dish honors those misfits who once graced our establishment. Without them, Elysium would have never existed. Some exiles become worthless junk, and others transform into pearls. Is it the environment that determines their fate, or their own nature? The N109 Grand Platter. Venison from acorn-fed deer, white truffle, cheese, white caviar, and blue lobster tart with mango. Complimentary to the true VIPs. 3, 5. Description. 4 distinct powers dominate the N109 zone. They are true players at the N109 zone's gambling table. A platter of 4 rare delicacies. They don't complement each other, they're just equally expensive. Choose wisely. If you're unsure, try them one at a time. 24K Exchange Artist. Chicken leg cooked with scallion oil, soy sauce, salt, golden coconut oil, sesame oil, shredded ginger, and scallions. Comes with a dash of humor. 1, 2, 4, 6. Description: he's no thief. He's an artist who believes in fair exchange. Dedicated to unseen phantom Thief P. Everything has a price. Pain is traded for an equal amount of pain. Joy is exchanged for an equal amount of joy. But is your happiness truly equal to mine? The point of no return. Smoked pigeon, saffron, pickled onions, barley, toasted truffle bread with au jus, and 100% trust. 578. Description: at Charon, no deal goes unmade. The pigeon meat is from the market's arena. A rare delicacy available only this season. Pay the appropriate fee, and they will fulfill your every wish. Remember, once a deal is in place, there is no turning back. Strawberry Disaster Special. Strawberry ice cream, fresh strawberries, strawberry sauce, chocolate-covered strawberries, chili powder made from red Savina pepper, and 4-leaf clover. 7. Description: if you survived 2036, the gang war that engulfed the N109 zone, this is the dessert you can't refuse. Rich ice cream wrapped in strawberry sauce, and spiced with chili to sting your tongue. Like that night when the streets ran red. Not all survivors were strong, and not all of the strong survived. Wouldn't you agree, you lucky duck? Today's special: Sweet Evil Trap. Pepper walnut tart, rosemary gelato, pomegranate jelly, red wine marshmallow, and 10.5 grams of soul. 0. Description: I'm waiting for you. Special services: 1. Assassination. 2. Arms deals. 3. Infiltration. 4. Intel collection. 5. Meditation. 6. Biological substances. 7. Protocore trading. 8. Proxy deals. 0. Today's special. Special notice: menu items are subject to change due to seasonal availability and local logistics. Thank you for understanding. Call me Aislinn. The curly-haired woman sets a cup of steaming hot coffee in front of Mr. P. This is our signature brew, on the house for those who choose the connoisseur's menu. It's been a while since anyone asked for it, so I upgraded you to a large cup. Do it. Mr. P picks up the cup. Is this some kind of go-getter philosophy for life? Oh? Aislinn toys with a curl of her hair. So that's how some people interpret it. Just do as you're told. This is what Aislinn heard most of her life as a child. You worthless brat, do as I say. One more word and I'll kill you. By the time she was 12, Aislinn learned not to close her eyes when fists were flying, keeping her eyes open to let her read the direction of blows, protect her face and gut, and choose where to fall to minimize injuries. She got lucky that time. He wore himself out quickly and sent her off to buy liquor. Before leaving, she glanced at the drunk who claimed to be her father. Of course, it was only true in the strictest biological sense. She limped away. Sometimes staying alive requires more than strength. It needs a bit of luck. Turning the corner, Aislinn saw a striking woman leaning against a bar entrance and looking at her phone. Her tank top revealed sculpted muscles, and her short, orange-red hair shined brilliantly under the sun. That was Ginevra, a bar's bouncer. Aislinn knew her. She had seen Ginevra single-handedly knock down groups of drunks. They lay in a pile. She's amazing, even stronger than Dad. With that thought, Aislinn couldn't help but move closer. Noticing her approach, Ginevra glanced up and laughed. Hey kid, your face is quite the work of art. Aislinn wiped at her wet nose. The blood smeared across her swollen cheek. She was 12, malnourished, scrawny for her age. Still, she squared her shoulders and lifted her chin. "I'll pay you. Teach me how to fight, or at least let me follow you around." Without any hesitation, she shoved all the money that was meant for her father's liquor into Ginevra's hand. If she could become her sidekick, no one would dare to mess with her again. Ginevra didn't take the money. She crossed her arms and looked at Aislinn. "What? You lost a playground scuffle and now you want lessons? I'm not into babysitting. I want my dad to be too scared to hit me again. Can you help me?" Aislinn stood on her tiptoes and brought her bruised face closer. "You..." Ginevra looked interested for a moment, but her fell face when a drop of blood landed on her shoe. She heard Ginevra curse under her breath. Mr. P had barely tasted his drink before the drink's burning edge brings tears to his eyes. "Who puts booze in their coffee?" 1/3 whiskey, 2 scoops of cream, 1 brown sugar cube, and a sprinkle of fate. With a knowing smile, Aislinn taps the menu in front of Mr. P. "That's our signature blend." Chapter 3. Coward's Shell. Now you may place your order. Every dish comes with its own special seasonings, so our customers can choose what suits their palate. Take this one, for example. With brown nail polish shining, Aislinn's finger glides across the menu's surface until it settles beside a number. Coward's Shell, fresh oysters with a bit of pepper and paired with freshest sides. Assassination, infiltration, and intel collection. A perfect balance of flavors. Following her finger, Mr. P looks at the menu. He's drawn to the text beneath the name. This dish honors those misfits who once graced our establishment? He's interested. In the N109 zone, everyone is practically an oddball. What kind of freak would even stand out? Maybe it has something to do with the word coward? Yet no matter how he mulls over it, that word doesn't fit the N109 zone. After all, everyone here has blasted their way through swarms of wanderers to reach this forsaken pit. "Oh, there are cowards here," Aislinn says. It happened not long after Aislinn and Ginevra settled down in the N109 zone. A cracked wooden door fell, and a figure tumbled out amidst splinters and shrieks. "Just you wait. This isn't over." "Oh, I'll wait, all right," Aislinn sneered. She leaned against the doorframe with a cocky stance she had picked up from Ginevra. Only after the man staggered away in fear did she turn to steady the bar's broken door. It was already the 3rd batch of thugs this month who tried to extort protection fees since they opened Elysium. 2 years before, the Chrono Rift catastrophe struck. Abnormal protofield fluctuations reduced this prosperous tech hub into a lifeless husk. But no one had imagined that this perilous wasteland would become a haven for outlaws. Here, law and order meant nothing. Only strength ruled over the weak. "Ginevra, why are we here? There isn't any sunlight, and the conditions are awful." After walking into the room, Aislinn grumbled and watched the orange-haired woman flex her wrist. "Do I need to remind you that..." Ginevra looked up with a small smile. "This was my plan. You tagged along on your own volition." "But we're family. Of course I'll follow you." Aislinn declared this as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. 11 years had passed since Ginevra took her in. "Ginevra, why don't you head to Lincoln? We could open a bar there." "No." "Why not?" "We can make more money here." "You're lying." "You're not..." Aislinn cut herself off and glared at Ginevra. "You don't want money. You want to ditch me and have fun by yourself." "You know me so well. Can you make my wish come true, then?" "As if you bought me to be your sidekick." I adopted you. Don't make me sound like a human trafficker. And that tiny sum you had wouldn't even buy a single decent bullet. Another feeble creak sounded at the bar's entrance, which cut their bickering short. Aislinn glanced up and recognized the scarred man. He had gave her a curt nod and walked to Geneva. They exchanged a glance and silently slipped into the kitchen in the back. Alone, Aislinn calmly picked up a broom and began sweeping the scattered debris. As she swept, she moved closer to the kitchen and overheard snippets of the conversation. It sounded like the scarred man wanted Geneva's help in finding someone this time. Aislinn caught a few telling phrases. Missing evolver, test subject, base of operations. Ever since the bar opened, Aislinn had grown used to suspicious figures seeking out Geneva. They looked rough, and trouble was written all over them. After every hush-hush talk, Geneva would vanish for a while. Whenever Aislinn would ask where she went, Geneva would say that she was restocking supplies. Yeah, sure. What kind of supplies would leave her battered and bruised every time? Still, Aislinn never confronted her. She understood that Geneva's reasons for lying. When the murmured discussion behind the kitchen door ends, Aislinn casually stepped away. With her head down, she continues to sweep. She expected the scarred man to leave quietly as usual. But this time, the man who never said a word to her actually stopped to speak. It's getting rough out there. Watch your back. Startled, Aislinn looked up. The scarred man's face twisted into something that vaguely looked like a kind smile. Dexter, you need to get ready for the mission. Geneva, who had emerged from the kitchen at some point, was now leaning against the bar. She had suddenly spoke. Our lookout vanished. They might know we're onto them. Your cover may have already been... She trailed off. But Dexter tilted his head. He understood what she was implying. What? You worried about me? If I don't come back, drop some flowers at my grave. Get lost. He laughed before speaking in a more serious tone. Don't worry about me. In this line of work, hardly anyone meets a peaceful end. I accepted that. Besides, we promised the parents that we'd bring their child home. If not us, then who? We can't be cowards now. Geneva smiled. Fine. Make it back alive, and I'll clear your tab. Aislinn didn't know what Dexter was about to face, but she knew one thing. Neither Geneva nor Dexter were their real names. And more importantly, they were good people. Once Aislinn found a special task force ID hidden behind Geneva's bedside drawer. So she knew that they were good guys. Chapter 4, Strawberry Disaster Special. Your Strawberry Disaster Special, sir. The snow-like ice cream is topped with fresh strawberries and shimmering sauce. It practically begs to be tasted. As she sets down the dessert, Aislinn slips a Protocor auction invitation beside it like a side dish. Fresh strawberries and Protocors pair surprisingly well, wouldn't you say? Mr. P ignores the invitation at first. He samples the dessert instead. Tart strawberry sauce melds with rich whipped cream to flood his taste buds. He closes his eyes and sighs contently. Exquisite. Just as I had hoped. Only then does his gaze shift to the invitation as if he's recalling something. The 2036 disaster. If I'm not mistaken, it started because of a Protocor map. Is that where you got your inspiration? A third of the N109 zone's population had vanished in the chaos. Mr. P remembers it well. Aislinn confirms his suspicions. Unfortunately, that Protocor map was lost at the time. Seeing the faint remorse in her eyes, Mr. P offers a knowing smile. Lost? Perhaps it was stolen. You aren't suggesting Phantom Thief P did it, are you? Who knows? It's all just speculation. He chuckles softly before playfully shrugging. Maybe the map was just an excuse to shake things up from the start. Seeing his genuine smile, Aislinn lowers her gaze to mask her curiosity. Perhaps. She idly brushes back a strand of her chestnut-colored hair. As it slips off her shoulder, Mr. P catches a glimpse of a silver windflower earring. There are no flowers in the N109 zone. Aislinn propped her chin on her hand and stared blankly at the silver windflowers on the bar counter. Ginevra brought them a few days ago from somewhere. Since then, Aislinn never saw the scarred man again. Although certain people stopped visiting, Ginevra was even busier. She headed out and vanished for a few days. Did you hear? Even the special task force cops have their eyes on that protocol map in the N109 zone. Where did you get that from? It can't be true. If they ever set foot here, they'd be ripped apart in seconds. Inside the bar, Aislinn quietly wiped glasses while two customers whispered. At some point, a rumor started circulating about a priceless protocore that was hidden in the N109 zone. It drew in greedy opportunists like moths to a flame. I heard something else. Someone said Silas has started eating people. Silas? Aislinn knew that name. Actually, everyone in the N109 zone knew. This powerful lone evolver roams the area and became a hot topic after devouring several prominent factions. Plenty of people wanted him on their side. Eating people? What's that about? You heard about some evolvers going missing, right? They say it all began after Silas's Onakindness came into existence. Really? Does that mean I'm in danger? Oh, please. He has standards about what he devours. At midnight, Aislinn woke up to an urgent ringing. The display showed a number that she knew all too well. Ginevra's. She had been missing for months. For some reason, unease stirred in Aislinn's heart. She quickly answers the phone. On the other end, chaos reigned. Gunshots, something like a beast's roar, and human screams. Amid the clamor, she heard Ginevra's voice. No matter what happens, don't leave Elysium. And her final words were drowned out by a massive explosion from the street. Late 2036. The N109 zone experienced its largest riot since its conception. A scramble for a protocol map soon escalated into gang war. It engulfed every faction. The festering, rotting darkness opened up like an inflamed abscess. It revealed the true face of the soul-devouring cesspit. The fighting raged for months until the weak were fully consumed and every resource was carved up. In the end, the N109 zone's turmoil disappeared, and the legendary Silas emerged as the victor. The once three-way power balance was shattered, and the lifeless territory finally met its new master. Aislinn survives untouched. She was one of the lucky few. At that time, she didn't understand why she and Elysium remained unscathed. Not until a black crow delivered its master's message. The deal is done. I'll be taking the map. Chapter 5. Today's special. A deal. That's definitely something he'd do. As Mr. P eats his last spoonful of ice cream, he still feels unsatisfied. He's curious about that past event. He picks up the menu again, and his gaze lingers on today's special. Sweet Evil Trap. What's the story behind this? Sorry. Aislinn offers him a regretful smile. This was made for only a certain lady that isn't available for others. Who could get that kind of privilege? Mr. P has never heard of an item on the connoisseur's menu being custom-made for one individual. That's confidential info. I'm afraid I can't tell you. I see. Then, can you at least tell me about the side dish? Mr. P doesn't want to give up. I'd love to, but I'm afraid I can't. Aislinn smiles slyly. I don't have the courage to serve our sponsor as a side dish. It's 3 a.m., deep into the night. After seeing off the last customer, Aislinn goes into the bar's entrance and flips the sign from open to closed. As always, she returns to the counter and pours herself a glass of whiskey. For years, Elysium has been one of the N109 zone's top intel hubs that's backed by a powerful force. She hasn't seen Geneva since the riot. And from the Crow, Aislinn learned about Geneva's deal with that man. They traded the protocore map for Elysium's protection amidst the chaos. How Geneva got the protocore map remains a mystery. Aislinn believes that, with enough time, she'll find Geneva and get the answers herself. From that day on, Elysium stepped into the murky depths of the N109 zone as an intel bar. As Aislinn finishes her drink, she prepares to leave. Something on the corner of the counter catches her eye. Aislinn picks up a frog plushie. She recalls that it belonged to that customer who ordered from the connoisseur's menu earlier today. As she moves to place it in the lost and found, a gift box slips from the plushie's arms. It reveals a red wine card tucked into its seam. To my dear Aislinn, once, someone traded me a map for what's in this gift box. Now I'm returning it to its rightful owner in exchange for your splendid menu. P.S. Thank you for your hospitality tonight. Maybe I'll try the dish you created just for me next time. Yours truly, Phantom Thief P. As if sensing what's about to happen, her heart starts to pound. With trembling hands, Aislinn opens the gift box. On soft velvet rests a stack of old bills, the very ones she once forced in Geneva's hands. Beside them lies a yellow slip of paper that reads, Aislinn's protection money. Aislinn touches her eyes that sting from tears. After all these years, this small piece of survival finally returned home. World Underneath, 15. Sketches, Volume 13. Chapter 1. Featured Character. Yvette, born December 2012 on worldneath Island, now a part of Skyhaven Guard Station Archipelago. Senior engineer and best-selling author, admitted to the Department of Energy and Power Engineering at worldneath Institute of Technology, now merged with Skyhaven University, in 2030. That same year, she began creating educational science videos and content online platforms. In 2033, she published the science fiction novel Cloud, which gained significant attention, establishing her as a representative sci-fi author before the Chrono Rift catastrophe. After graduation, she joined the Deep Space Aviation Administration as an engineer. In 2043, following her divorce, she resigned from her engineering position to pursue writing full-time. Her influential works include Cloud, Far Sky's End, and The First Question, which have been translated into multiple languages and published worldwide. She has received numerous awards, including the White Hole Literature Award, Skyhaven Fantasy Literature Award, and the Suspense Award. In 2048, she was awarded the Skyhaven Medal of Arts and Literature. She currently resides in Lincoln City with her son, daughter, cat, and dog. Editor's note: Yvette has long been a creator I've wanted to meet. After running sketches for a year, my producer recently pointed out that our 12 episodes spanning the year have all featured academic experts from various fields. The show lacks mass appeal and entertainment value. It won't survive at this rate. The producer suggested interviewing some popular young entertainers who have both influence and talent, as a year-end special. However, I've always insisted that sketches should be authentic. We should spend at least a full day with our subjects, moving through multiple everyday settings for open conversation, aiming to reveal sides of them beyond public perception. Of course, I can't afford to book a young celebrity's entire day. Then I spotted Cloud on my bookshelf. It's one of my favorite novels, consistently ranking in the top 10 best sellers across bookstores and websites since Skyhaven's establishment. Many consider it prophetic of the Skyhaven project, and its author, Yvette, has gained immense popularity across all social classes and age groups. The producer agreed readily, perhaps seeing this as the biggest compromise I could make. A literary influencer. And that's how this episode came to be. Chapter 2. Homeland. At 1 in the afternoon, I arrive as planned at Yvette's studio in Hillside Gardens, Philly district of Lincoln City, which also serves as her home. Just as she mentioned on the phone, the scent of plum blossoms signal that her house is nearby. The moment our cameraman frames the small courtyard with its plum tree, the front door opens, and out comes Yvette, greeting me with 2 garbage bags in her hand, even waving at the camera, garbage bags and all. Juniper, it's an honor to meet you. I've watched all your shows. I'm a big fan. Let me just take out the trash first. Please, come in. Oh, the camera crew too. You'll need to set up your equipment, right? I've cleared some space. The crew and I stand there momentarily stunned, somewhat hesitantly entering the courtyard. The cameraman even asks if we should edit out that last bit. We end up conducting the interview under Yvette's plum tree, brewing tea in the early spring air amidst the fragrance of plum blossoms. The atmosphere is wonderfully relaxed, quite different from our previous interviews with the academic veterans. Sketches. When Skyhaven was completed, all former Worldneath Island residents were granted immediate residential rights in Skyhaven and its guard stations. You're one of the few I know who gave up this right, especially considering you were working at the Deep Space Aviation Administration at the time. Yvette. It wasn't what I had imagined. I grew up on Worldneath Island. How much do you know about it? Sketches. I did my research. It's primarily a coral island. Its base eroded over time by coral consuming microorganisms into a pivot-like pointed structure. Rich in magnetic ore, it began rotating under the planet's protofield, generating torque. This rotation ground the surrounding lakes into a perfect circle, like an ice ring. That's also why it would float skyward when deep space tunnels' appearance altered the magnetic field and gravity vortex. Yvette. That's what the geography textbooks say. Sketches. Yeah. Yvette. When your childhood home is sold and renovated, it's still the same house in the same place, but would you call it home? What the geography textbooks don't mention is Worldneath Island's distinct seasons, pleasant climate, abundant rainfall, and rich biodiversity. They don't tell you about the spring buds on the trees, the cool summer springs, the autumn leaves dancing with the migratory birds, or the setting sun through winter reed marshes. Though the island's unique geological environment meant most residents were school faculty and researchers in geology and physics, you couldn't escape nature's subtle influence. Tell me, have you ever seen wildlife in Skyhaven? Even birds are a rare sight. Sketches. Well, Skyhaven is too high for most birds to reach. Yvette. In a few years, I might move somewhere like Windfall Tableland. I've lived by water all my life, but never experienced vast grasslands. Azure Peak and Ardeum would be nice too. I've never lived in the mountains or desert. Sketches. Moving to a new place every few years? Yvette. Yes, the world is vast and life is short. For this one precious journey, we should make it worth the price of admission. Sketches. Price of admission? When did you buy your ticket? At birth? Yvette. The wrong turns, the falls, the losses, the treasures left behind, aren't those all part of the price? Sketches. By that logic, the longer you live, the higher the price. Yvette. That's why we can't stop. Don't pause on the path you want to take. What a waste that would be. The interview concludes here as Yvette heads to her guest lecture at Skyhaven University. I specifically scheduled our talk for today to see this former researcher turned writer from a student's perspective, and to return to a university classroom myself. Chapter 3. Central Theme. I hadn't expected Yvette to begin her lecture this way. As we enter the auditorium, the screen is playing a decade-old Lincoln News Street interview about whether Skyhaven should be built. In 2034, intense magnetic fluctuations from the deep space tunnel caused several islands and land masses to break away from their tectonic plates, drawn together and suspended above Lincoln City by an unusual gravity vortex. In 2036, building on their initial success with protocore technology, Ever Corporation boldly proposed that Skyhaven Project, a plan to stabilize these floating islands using high-intensity protocores, established self-sustaining ecosystems and connect surrounding guard stations to create true aerial base, pioneering new grounds for human habitation. When the plan leaked, it caused a lot of global uproar. Until then, protocore technology, still viewed with skepticism and often faced with opposition, had been limited to manufacturing hunter equipment and weapons. This marked its first application in civic infrastructure. People naturally split into two camps: the purists, who opposed the project due to risks from wanderers and protocore syndrome, and the protocists, who saw it as humanity's new dawn. Yet one of the key factors that helped the general public embrace the protocists' vision was Yvette's full-length science fiction novel, Cloud, published in 2033. In class, instead of discussing the creative process behind Cloud, Yvette engages in a conversation across time. Two sofas are placed at the center stage, with Yvette sitting in the right one. Through AI-enhanced holographic projection, her 10-year younger self appears in the left sofa. She introduces her past self. Yvette, 27, Research Institute of Deep Space Aviation Administration, Senior Engineer of the Skyhaven Initiative, science fiction author and devoted protocist. Then she turns, playfully gesturing to herself. Yvette, 37, author, enjoys growing flowers and drinking tea, wastes time, harbors simple sentiments instead of grand ambitions. Yvette, 37. From your first online short stories to the published novels Cloud and Far Sky's End, the relationship between technology and humanity has been your central theme for 5 years. Do you think this topic has been fully explored? Yvette, 27. It's inexhaustible. I believe this has been humanity's question for the past 3 centuries, and remains the defining issue of our era. Each generation finds its own answers, and each generation poses new questions. Just look at the recent past. Before 2034, wind and solar power were clean but inefficient. Oil, shale gas, and coal were limited and heavily polluting. Nuclear power carried high risks and faced public resistance. The whole world was trying to achieve nuclear fusion at the room temperature to solve our energy constraints. Now, I hear even the last nuclear power plant is about to be shut down. After all, we have protocores now, cosmic energy from deep space. Yvette, 37. Do you think our reception of this cosmic energy was a coincidence or inevitability? Yvette, 27. I'm sorry, I don't understand your question. Yvette, 37. Let's try another question. What's your real reason for supporting Ever Corporation's protocore technology development? Yvette, 27. I believe our era needs protocores. Yvette, 37. Then what about those suffering from protocore syndrome? They're no different from the past radiation victims. Yvette, 27. It's like the relationship between technology and humanity that I've been exploring. How technology is developed is determined by people. Yvette 37. Do you think people can be trusted? Nuclear reactions were originally developed for power generation. Yvette 27. I'm sorry, I don't understand your question. Yvette 37. Infinite energy, breakthroughs in genetics, interstellar migration becoming reality. What kind of world do you think that would create? Yvette 27. When resources are depleted, civilization regresses. Earth is small, but space is limitless. Humanity can seek answers to all its questions in the depths of space, and the universe will respond. That's why I believe the future must be beautiful. Yvette smiles, not asking any more questions, and turns to face the students. After a moment of silence, applause breaks out. I don't join in. I'm not sure what they're celebrating. When the applause dies down, Yvette raises the microphone. Do you truly believe our world has become a better place? Those on Earth look up to Skyhaven. Those in Skyhaven gaze into deep space. And those in deep space seek to glimpse what lies beyond. Everyone has their own central question. What's yours? Chapter 4. Cloud. Leaving Skyhaven University, I accompany Yvette to pick up her child, playing the role of an eager student to continue our classroom discussion. Sketches. From what you said in class, it seems your future works will have different central themes. Yvette. Though I've changed a lot in 10 years, I'm still myself. I just used to always look up towards the sky, and now I've turned my gaze downwards, facing the earth instead of the heavens. Sketches. Yes, you were once among those closest to reaching the ends of the depths. Your research in protocore energy helped stabilize the floating islands beneath deep space. Building cities upon them, a miracle people would look up to, while preventing the risks of stabilizing protofield, just like in your novel, Cloud. Yvette. You've read it? Sketches. I loved it. How do you view your work from over a decade ago? Yvette. I was quite the dreamer back then. As you saw in that opening interview, everyone was holding up my book, imagining the wonderful life after Skyhaven's completion. Humanity would gradually live above the clouds, returning to Earth itself. Those in the sky would immerse themselves in viewing Earth in its purest form, without human presence. They'd watch elephant migrations and the seasonal return of migratory birds. When I wrote it, I never imagined life above the clouds would become reality in just a few years. But the Earth I described in my book never appeared, and perhaps never will. Sketches. Yes. Science fiction used to focus on how we would find new homes and preserve human civilization after depleting our resources. But now that the resource problem is solved, people suddenly think they're omnipotent. We've crossed 2 eras before we've even figured out how to sustain civilization. We're already trying to become gods. Suddenly, everyone's lost touch with reality. Sketches. And you've come back down to Earth. Yvette. The landing was a bit rough. Sketches. It wasn't just because Earth and the clouds never materialized, was it? Yvette. No. Sketches. Leaving the Deep Space Aviation Administration, and later the divorce. All of that? Mommy! A boy holding a girl's hand runs out from Skyhaven Elementary's gates, throwing himself into Yvette's arms. I stop questioning, suddenly unsure of how to proceed, though Yvette seems completely at ease. Yvette. At the Aviation Administration, my ex-husband and I were considered the perfect couple. High school sweethearts who joined the administration together. I researched energy, and he became a pilot. Then, he joined the Farspace fleet. And after that, we divorced. Sketches. Is it okay to discuss this in front of the children? Girl. Why wouldn't it be? Mommy doesn't love Daddy anymore, so of course she can leave. Boy. Yeah, but it's been a while since we've seen Daddy. Yvette. Should we try our luck up there? We might see him. Boy. Yay! We get to visit Skyhaven Ring again! I'm about to take my leave when Yvette unexpectedly invites me along. She tells me that meeting her ex-husband might naturally answer the questions lingering in my mind. Chapter 5. Heartless. At Skyhaven's peak, the Skyhaven Ring resembles an aureole above a deity's head, encircling the highest guard station, home to the Far Space Fleet Base. Protocore energy flows through this massive celestial ring, creating streams of light in a spectacular rainbow of colors. For every child with dreams of piloting mechs, it's an irresistible sight. Sketches. If you don't like Skyhaven, why have your children attend school here? Yvette. The educational resources are excellent, and when they first started elementary school, I was still working at the Aviation Administration. Sketches. Do you hope they'll follow in your and your husband's footsteps? Yvette. They'll make their own choices. I can't interfere with that. Though if I'm honest, I'd prefer if they don't become scientists. Humanity won't die from progressing too slowly, but take too big of a leap and not only will you stumble, you'll lose your way entirely. Yvette's attention is drawn to two tall figures standing in the reception area. Dad! The boy rushes forward, but the officer turns and instinctively moves to protect the young colonel behind him, his hands shooting out to block the boy. Undeterred, the boy wraps himself around the very arm trying to push him away. Dad! Liam, they came to see you. Yvette approaches with the girl, and I notice the complex emotions in the officer's eyes as his son clings to him. Wariness, unfamiliarity, hesitation, before finally setting into neutrality. He turns to his colonel, seemingly asking for permission, then nods and reluctantly pats the children, his touch lacking any paternal warmth. Family is important, ejected Liam. Spend some time with them tonight. The colonel's words are considerate, but his tone lacks any real emotion. The girl is clearly more mature than her brother as she says, There's no need. It's boring with Dad. My brother will want to leave soon. You'll hurt your father's feelings saying that. He won't care. Like mother, like daughter. The colonel gazes at Yvette with a perfectly measured smile, which she meets with an ice in her eyes. I want to know what's out there in deep space that makes you so willing to abandon everything here on Earth. Humanity's problem was never about energy. It's about refusing to let go of what we already have, even when it's become worthless. A tethered kite will never reach the far sky, Miss Yvette. Sure enough, the boy soon leaves his father's side, returning to bury his face against Yvette's legs. She strokes his head as she lifts him up, turning back to face the colonel. I'm working on a new book, Colonel Caleb. You might be interested. It's called Heartless. The young man nods. I wish you success. Afterward. On the way back, I recall Yvette's question in class when her virtual self reverted to artificial idiot mode. Can humans be trusted? She answered that while she doesn't trust humans, she trusts human nature, just as she believes humanity will find a path beyond protocore technology. Later, when Heartless is published, I ask if she chose the title because of how Liam changed. Yvette just smiles faintly and says, It's because Heartless rhymes with coreless.